Welcome to another episode of Live Coding with RabbitWerks JavaScript. Tonight we're going to be keeping on going. Tonight is episode 4 of the Filtrify photo series, and we're going to keep going on Vuex with some filter inputs when we're going to update our CSS variables the correct way. And so we'll just update our state, which is, if we look at our store, we have our array of filters. So we're going to update the values in here versus just updating the CSS variables. So when we update the values in here, we will pull the values from our store out into the display container component and update the CSS variables inside this component whenever they get changed. Cool. So, and then depending on where we're at with that, we're gonna start taking a look at building this canvas component, and that's gonna be what we use to basically take the image and the filters that we have applied to it and squash them all together on an HTML5 canvas, and then we can take that information on the canvas and turn it into a data URI, and we can download it. So cool. We'll walk through it step by step, and it should be pretty neato Toledo. Cool. And let's see. So for this project, I am going to be using Cloudinary. If you haven't checked it out, check out the link in the description. It's basically for media and asset hosting. You get like 20 gigabytes of storage for free, and you can do tons of transformations and optimizations based on the different URLs that you use, and you can even upload to Cloudinary with their APIs as well. So check them out. Check out the link in the description for reference and whatnot. But anyways, cool. So, and then one more thing, let's just thank Free Code Camp Radio for the awesome beats. As always, go check out the channel, and the link is in the description as well. Cool. So without further ado, let's get started. And just wanted to give a shout out to Josh in the chat, because we're working on the Coding Garden design team and front end team together, and he decided to stop by tonight. So what's up, Josh? How are you doing? I hope you're having a good night. And alright, cool. So let's take a look at where we're at with everything. So first of all, let's start looking at the filter panel, the filters, and see filter input component. So basically, this method right here, update filter value, is where we are taking and targeting the CSS variables we have set up by going through the root element, or root node of the document. Yeah, that's what it's called. And we have our CSS variables set up on there. So if we actually take a look at our main.css file, you can see that we have our root node, and inside there we got a couple of different CSS variables for just some text colors, and then we have our CSS variables for our filters. And then what we do with that is we take inside of our image component, we're passing in the filter property as a CSS rule to, let's see, where is it? This image right here that we dynamically generate based on the link that we pass in. And these filters get applied to that image. So what we're going to do is take all that stuff and squish it all together into a canvas at the end of, hopefully by the end of tonight's session. And cool. So Josh is saying in the chat, a good day of design always leads to a nice relaxing night. How about yourself? I'm doing pretty well. I'm having some struggles with the internet a little bit tonight because it's like -2 degrees over here, so that means that the internet might freeze on me at any minute. So if that happens, I apologize, but we're gonna keep going until that point. And yeah, okay, so really quick, since we're in this display image, we don't need this mounted hook, and we don't need this event bus since we're not using event buses anymore. So we can just delete that, and we can unimport it. Make sure we delete all the correct parentheses and brackets. Cool, so let's take a look at this now. So close out of that and go back into our filter input.view. And so instead of doing this and updating it directly, we want to update our store. And let's see, how are we going to do that? So in our store, each filter is an object in our array, and so we need to get the index of that item in the array so we can target the properties inside of the object. So how are we going to do that? Well, inside the filter panel, if you remember, we're looping through each item in that filters array. So filter and index and filter, and this index is where we're going to get the index of the array to target it from and stuff. So that's pretty much all we'll need on that thing. So in order to get access to the index inside the parent component, we just need to pass it in as a prop. And so we just type in the name of the prop that we're passing it in as, and what it is passed in, what we're passing it into, or in what we're passing into it. Yeah. Okay, so and then we go into our filter input, and in our props array, just add in index like that. Cool. So we should have, if we said something like index, and there we go. We have the index. Cool. And we're not going to keep that there, but I just wanted to demonstrate that we are passing it in. In fact, so what do we want to do next? We want to, I think we can just pass it in like that as a second argument in our chain or update filter value. And instead of all that noise, we can delete that, and we're just gonna console. Oh, make sure we add the parameter in our function as well. So input, and let's just console.log the input and see what that gives us. And let's bring up the console, give it a refresh. Uh-oh, it's yelling at us about something. Oh, wait a second. All right, let's take a look at the Vue dev tools really quick and see what's going on. Filter, props, index. It does have it. Okay. So what is it telling me now? It's saying something is yelling at me. Or wait a second. We're not gonna pass it in right there. I'm sorry. We can just pass it in, not as a parameter like that. We can just pass it or call it as a parameter on as a prop. So I hope that makes sense. But let's see. So if we look at that, this dot input. Oh, all types of goofed up here. Oh, because I'm saying the wrong thing. Jeez. Standing right in the face. Okay, this dot index, not this dot input. Okay, so let's see what that gives us now. Okay, so we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there we go. Excellent. So we're not passing it in the event because we can just call or target it as a data property or a prop property and whatnot inside of the method, since it's on our Vue instance. Cool. So We're not gonna do this either, so we can just comment that out just so we have it as a reference point. But what do we want to do instead? So we're going to need to go into our store and take a look and see what we have for actions. So right now we just have the one action and one mutation for setting the source, image source. And let's see, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to call an action that we'll call a mutation that updates the current filter being changed, the current value on the current filter being changed. So in order to do that, let's just start by saying set filter value, and then just as a reminder, I like to kind of like modify or add a modifier at the end, so I can tell on my Vue instances that it is in fact on a Vuex method or a Vuex action that I'm calling. Same thing with the kind of mutations, and add this mute at the end, just so I can tell it's for my sake, but you don't have to, you can do whatever you want. Alright, so state and then the payload. And then the payload is whatever we're passing in, but payload is just a convention that is best practice as calling it a payload. And not state, it's going to be context. State is for mutations. So the context and the payload. Cool. So we could just say for now, let's just say context.commit, and we're going to commit set filter value muta, and then we will pass in with that the payload, semicolon it so the linter doesn't scream, and let's see, so right now it's going to say that we don't have that anything when we call it, so let's go ahead and write that just so we get the bare bones set up. And so we'll say set filter value underscore muta, and this is in our mutations, just so we're clear. And in there we're passing in the state as the first argument, and then our payload as the second argument, which gets passed in from the action. Cool. So really quick in here, now we can just say something like console.log payload. Now if everything goes correctly, what is it saying? Unexpected console statement. That's fine. Oh, no console. Okay, that's fine. So what we will say is, go back to the filter input component, and we can say, well, first we need to import our map actions helper. So right above the export default view instance, we can just say import, and it is map actions from Vuex, like that. And then we just can map our actions to this instance by invoking it, spreading into it, and then invoking an argument or an array of the names of our actions. I don't know. So this one is going to be set filter value store, just like that. Oops. There we go. And let's see. Now if we are to call that, so if we say this dot set filter value, because we'll call it just like it were a method now on our Vue instance. That's what the map actions helper function does. And we can call that and pass in let's just say before that, let's just initialize a variable so called payload, and it'll be an object. So we'll say const payload equals empty object, and inside that object we will have index, and it will be set to this dot index, which refers to the index prop that we're passing in, and then filter, and it'll just say this dot filter. Or not this dot filter, it can actually just be filter because we're passing in the filter as an argument. So in ES6 land, we just do the one thing. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head at the moment, but instead of just being redundant and saying filter equals, or filter is filter like that, in ES6 you just do a single filter and it assumes that it's the same key and value that's being passed in. And cool, so let's just see what happens. So let's just pass the payload into our set filter value function, and then if all has gone okay, we should see a console log with our index and our filter, but doesn't look like it. Let's see. This dot set filter value is not, oh, because I'm not calling it properly. Store, silly. Alright, let's try that. Give it a refresh, and cool, look at that. We got a bunch of stuff with our filters in it. And so if we say, let's refresh this, and we will take a look at the brightness one and just bring that, play with that, and go scroll up here and see what this current value is set at. So it is updating. Let's instead of passing in the whole filter, let's just pass in the new value. Good call, Josh. I saw that. I always forget about my little things, but it is helpful to kind of keep the method, the namespacing straight at least, because then I can, if it's multiple functions that are named pretty much the same thing, that are like different chains in one big function group, then to keep things straight, I like to kind of have it, I don't know, it makes sense. But yeah, sometimes I forget it, and but cool, good call. So let's see, we got that. Let's just pass in the filter new value, and we can actually just say filter dot current. That should give us what we want. Let's just say new filter value, and then look at that, it's changing. Cool, cool. Second, guys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, genders of all types, shapes, and sizes. Okay, and so we got that updating. Excellent. So now we can say go back to our store and do something more exciting than just console.log. And Josh is saying, forgetting that is itself an example of why you should do it, so you don't overwrite it if you forget that exists in the future. Yeah, he's got a good point. You kind of keep like a naming convention that you can come back to stuff and be able to tell what's going on. The more that it self-documents, the better. And even if it's not 100% legible to somebody else, as long as you get a system down that's like somewhat viable and makes sense, and you can come back to it in like say 6 months and you can see and pick it up and understand what's going on pretty easily because of the naming conventions and stuff that you've started using in your projects, then I think that's a huge value right there. So, and that's pretty much my argument for that. And cool. So let's do something else than the console log. Let's do something a little more interesting. We can say state dot filters, and then actually, you know what? This is a good example to start explaining some destructuring. So I know that let's actually demonstrate it really quick. So state.filters, so we're going to pass in an index for this, and we'll say payload. Remember, we're passing in our payload we have an index and a filter new value property. And actually I think I'll just say I'm going to keep it the same. Store, so state.filters payload, and then we have to say payload.index because that's the property inside the payload object that we're passing in. And then we can say, what is it, dot current. So what is that telling us? If we look up here, it's going to look through this filters array, and it's going to find the index of the array that it's supposed to search that we're passing in, and it's going to look through the object in that index and search for a property called current, and it's going to do what? Well, we're going to set dot current equal to payload dot filter new value, just like that. Semicolon it so that the linter doesn't scream at us. So that should give us what we need. And let's just double check. So if we say brightness is like that, and if we pull up the Vuex, looks like we got some stuff changing, and it's running a lot, but that's alright because each increment it's going to change. It's tracking the state. So let's go and take a look at our state object. Alright, right here, filters object for the first index of the array, and there's brightness, and you can see the current value is 86, so it's updating our state. Cool. And Josh is saying, I found some of my code from about 10 years ago, and all my variables were about 1 or 2 letters at random, and it just wasn't worth it. And let's just say it just wasn't worth it, the effort to try and fix it. So that's probably a good sign right there of why. I know that MPJ, a fun function, that YouTube channel, he's very adamant about naming Boolean variables super specifically, so you can like understand, because if you just say is shown and it's just so vague after like 4, 5, 6 months to a year or whatever, that you just like, what is shown? So if you said like I don't know, something image is, or profile image is shown if user is active, kind of thing. So you would say profile image is shown. So even if it is obvious in the code base that it's a profile image or whatever, it might not be in 6 months. So if you say name your stuff properly, and it will always pay off in the end. Anyways, that's my soapbox, I guess. So Okay, so we have that updating, which is awesome. So let's just give it a look-see and see if something like the hue rotate is changing, and that should be, yep, okay. And you can see it. Let's see. Cool. Weird and slow. I don't know, but that's okay. Let's I think I'm locking up my dev tools. Too many Vuex logs. Okay, so we're back to what we were doing. Okay, so we're updating the filter values and stuff. So now let's just see how are we gonna update our CSS properties, because now we're not updating the variables the way we were doing it before. And it's not working again because we took out that code. So we have to do it based on the change. And let's see. So let's go into the display container component. And let's see. Actually, before we do that, let's just take a look at the work log. So we got this taken care of. Update state. So we need to look and see how we're going to update the CSS variables. So I don't think we'll do it in Vuex. We might be able to try and do it. Write a method in here that does it, but I think we'll just write a getter. And we'll just say get filters. If I can type. This track is sweet. I like it a lot. I think I'll do it for a track highlight this month or this week, and it is "Love Is Real" by Nefarious! And it's just pretty bouncy, pretty chill, and pretty flowing. So I don't know, pretty nice. "Love Is Real" by Nefarious. I'll link the track in the description if you want to check it out. And I'm putting together a playlist on Spotify of a bunch of my favorite code beats kind of things, so I will probably share that link at some point down the road too when I get it pulled together a little bit more. But yeah, "Love Is Real" by Nefarious. Go check it out. So in our Vuex store, we're doing get filters current value, and we can just say state, and so that's going to be an arrow function. And or actually, you know what, we can just say get I'm trying to think of how I want to do this. Get filters current value, state index, and then that will return. That's actually, instead of doing that, we're just going to say get filter, and that'll bring back an individual filter. So we'll say pass in the state, and then we'll pass in the index as arrow functions, and then we will return state dot filter filters input index, not input. Almost did it again. All right, so let's see what that gives us. Okay, here's a semicolon there. It's a comma. Okay, let us see. Okay, so we have the get filter getter. Trying to think about how to do this with Vuex the best way. Josh, you got any suggestions? You can probably hack something together really quick, but see, the first prototype that I did for this app, we were just doing everything inside the Vue instance. We didn't have any Vuex, but I'm just trying to think of the most appropriate way to go about updating these. Properties. Okay, so let's just go for something like this. So we'll say computed and computed as an object, and inside there we'll say get filters, which will be a computed property that will return this dot $store dot getters dot get filters, like that. All right, so if we look at the component, say look at Vue instance, get filters. Oh, not the Vue instance. Okay, so container, control panel, filter panel. Okay, so we have our filters in there just like that, and we could say so I want to pass in, can I, oh, no worries. I want to pass in, I want to get just the computed property out of this, or I'm sorry, not computed, but the current property out of the filters, but I want to get it out of each one. Let's see, so if I were to say get filters dot current, I don't think that's going to work. So return this store getters filters. Josh is saying map it to current. Are you talking about? So you get a new array of the current values. Ooh. So can I just do an arrow function in here? Return like that. This .store.getters.getFilters invoked .map, passing in each element.current. So we got this.store.getters.get filters invoke.map filter filter.current. And so do I put that in a new array, or do I just return that? Yeah. I got you. So like this. Right? Let's see what that gives us. Oh, let's try to refresh it really quick. Just return the whole line filter panel. Oh, I'm in the wrong component. Goodness. Alright. Error during evaluation. I want to just see if I was looking in the wrong spot. Something's going on. Let's take a look at the store. Filters, state.filters. Get filters, state.filters. Error during evaluation. Is it because I'm calling it the same thing? No. Return this.store.getters.getFilters. Sure why it's not returning properly. Filters. Filters. So this one. Oh, I see. Wait a second. I see. There we go. Alright, so we got that in there. Let's try dot current like that. Undefined. Okay. Let's try the map now. Dot map. Filter dot current. Let's see if that gives us a cool. Boom. Nice call. Good shit. Good show. Good show on the map. I was just passing it. You're not. It was the. I was getting hung up on the invoker dealy bob. So you don't have to invoke it because it runs inside of Vuex or whatever. Yeah. Okay, so you only invoke it if you're passing in a property to it, like an index. So if I was going to say this dot index to target a specific one, that would be when I pass in a parameter with the function, but it invokes automatically because of this one right here. Cool. So sorry about that, guys and girls and everybody if that was confusing. So we're just in our display component, or our display container component, we're we have a computed property called filters, and we're just returning our array of filters, and then we're mapping the current property on each filter to the filters property that we have set up as our computed property. Cool. So if we take a look at this component one more time, you can see in our computed and our filter we have our array of current values, and if we change it, you can see that it changes really nicely and smoothly before it was getting all hung up. But for whatever reason, sometimes the Vue dev tools can lock up for whatever reason, but we see that everything is updating properly the way it should. Cool. Excellent. So now we can take our filters property, filter current values, filter current values, filters underscore current values, so I can tell. Okay, so what we can do now, since that's a computed property, we can take advantage of it being just like any other Vue data property on there. So what I mean by that is we can set up a watcher for it. So we can say watch, and that's an object, and inside there we will say filters current values, and let's see if I can remember the syntax for this. So value, and then we just say console log. I might have to double check the syntax on this, but just bear with me. Yeah, I've watched CJ do a bunch of the higher order functions and on his live stream as well too, and I'm starting to understand the basic ones and figure out where to use them. I did a really cool project for that JavaScript 30 course that I've linked to in the past. West Boss has 2 different projects where they're called Array Cardio, and it's just practicing array or higher function methods and or higher order functions and stuff like that. So like your reduce, filter, sort, arrays, or maps, and there's a couple other ones in there that he goes through, and really just basically the best way to learn the higher order functions is to just practice them and use them so you understand what they do, because otherwise you're not going to know if you need to grab it if you don't even know what it does in the first place, kind of thing. So the more you know. Cool. So, and I think this is, let me just take a look and see, Vue watchers. All the way down here, watchers, and watch question. So that's a function. An arrow function. Console.log values. Okay, so let's see what that does for us. Oh yeah, cool. Boom. See that? It just throws a ton of console logs in there with the one property that we're changing. Alright, so what else do we want to do with that? We could say, okay, so how are we gonna adjust it now? I don't even know. Do we need that? We might need the whole thing. Or we could say filters current values and filters dot names. And just return filter dot name. Filters names, and we gotta put a comma after our first function. And I just need to get the name just like that. Cool. And with that, so we're gonna still watch that, and we can say can we pass in the index with this, or grab the index out of it as well and pass that into the thing? Or can I pull the index through and return it in this? So I want the index. Otherwise, we can pass get the index from. Let's see, where are we at? Sorry guys, I know this was supposed to be kind of a learning lesson, but this is as much of a learning process for me sometimes as it is for everybody else. So, filter panel, let's see. Let's just try. Yeah, so we say if we, instead of just returning one line, we could just say oh, we don't say that. Oops. So return that and then index. Right? Okay, let's see what that gives us. So let's go into the display container, filter that current values. Oh, wait a second. Let's see, like this. I'm just confused. Current dot filter. All right, let's take a look here. Map return index with it. Maybe a return is needed after map a.a. Let's see. Yeah, so they have it right there. I don't know, because it's a computed property, is it? That shouldn't make a difference though. Oh, because, okay, let's see. What if I say yeah. Okay, let's see. So const filter equals, so Josh is saying we need to build an object inside of the iteration, inside the body of the function. So we could say const filter equals this object, and it's going to be current is set to filter.current, and then the index will be index. And then let's see. Oops, wrong button. If we return filter like that, is that gonna do it for us? No. Oh, okay, let's see. So if we say return, boom. All right, let's see. Let's take a look at that and see what we have for computed properties. Boom, look at that. Slaying it over there. Josh in the chat room is teaching me right now. Awesome. So we basically, let's just walk through this a little bit. And I'm going to take a quick break right after that. So in our computed property filters underscore current values, we are returning the get filters from the filters from the store, and then we're mapping over it, and each filter we're passing through, and we're returning the filter.current property of the current filter iteration and the index of that iteration as well. And so we'll get that index, and we can take that and get the right names then too. So kind of convoluted, and I can walk through it one more time after break. So but yeah, so thanks a lot, Josh, for all the help you've been providing tonight. It's awesome. I really appreciate it. Cool. So I'm going to take a quick break and stretch, get some water, and all that good stuff. Feel free to check out the code repository. The link is in the description. Go check out Free Code Camp Radio's channel. Link is in the description as well. And go to all the good stuff and do all the good stuff. So yeah, 100, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because at 100 subscribers I'm giving away some dev stickers, RabbitWerks brand developer stickers, 25 packs of 4 stickers, and it's going to be the RabbitWerks logo with the bunny, the YouTube channel art as a sticker kind of thing, Vue.js logo, and a special surprise sticker that I am designing right now. So if you want to get your hands on that, feel free to subscribe. And then I'm setting up a Discord channel, and we're going to have people that are interested in getting the dev stickers. You can go onto the Discord channel and enter in the giveaways channel on that, and we can get you out some free dev stickers. So if you don't want to do all that work, no problem, but if you feel like getting some awesome RabbitWerks dev stickers and subscribing to some really cool content, hit the subscribe button and get the link for the Discord and go and join the community. Cool. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And if you do go anywhere, come back. Thanks for checking out RabbitWerks Live Coding. You rock. Alright, and we are back. Thank you for your patience. And before the break, we were just hacking our way through some computed property, higher order function mappage. And so what we're doing right now is working on updating our CSS variables from when our store gets updated. So working everything through the Vuex store. And so we passed in, we're getting our computed value or our current values for each filter and returning an object containing the current value and the index. And actually I'm going to put this in front of it. I don't know, I think it returns, yeah, it returns alphabetical anyways. Okay, so we have that, and so with the index now we can take that and get the filter name with our watch. Okay, so if we say let's see. So if we say this dot actually let's just copy that in here really quick and see what that gives us in the console. Oh, not read property filters. Oops. Dot. I want the index, right? Okay, so let's see, what are we getting? So let's refresh that and see what we're getting in here. So if we're refreshing on this. Current undefined. So well, okay, so Josh is saying that that it could be a namespace collision, but I think with watch properties, that's how it's supposed to get set up for because that you're just saying watch this property. So if I'm saying watch current values, filters current values, and when that changes, we're console logging the value. What can how can I access? What if I just say kind of stuck on this one right now, but that's alright. Filters, current values. Let me just go about it a different way. Yeah, Josh is suggesting using an anonymous function instead of an arrow function. We can give that a shot. Let's see, so we can change this out and just say function. And that will take the value, console.log value. If I say this dot, let's just see if what that gives us. Okay, so gives us the same thing. What's changing? Let's take a look at this a little closer. Oh, let's see. Oh, the val. Let's see if we can do that. Second argument is the old value. I need to access this property with an index, but I can't get the index out of it. This index doesn't really help me because it's inside of that. I need to pass in, or I need to have the index outside of it. How do I return an index? Like, I don't know. Stuck on this one. So start index. You know what? I think we can do. Yeah, we could make a computed property for each one, but I think what we can do actually is okay, hold on a second. Let's see. I have an idea. I hope I don't lose it here. So we're passing in the index from the filter into the store from here, and that goes down to payload.index, payload.new filter new value. So let's see. So I have an idea. So what if we go... Alright, so we're gonna add a new property into our objects, and it's gonna be called index. Right? And... or wait a second. Yeah, we can just have it defaulted at 0, but what we could say is say, before we set the new value of the filter, the current filter, we could say state dot, or you know what? Let's see. Oh yeah, so we need to do it at that point because we need to get the index from the for loop. Okay, so that's what it's all kind of being based off of right now. So the issue is that yeah, I guess I haven't really explained that. So when we look at right here, this line of code that assigns the or reassigns the CSS variable or whatever based on the filter changing and whatnot. So this is how you would just do it, like without any issue, or if I were to just actually plug this in right now like that. I think maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Yeah, so it actually works as it is, but we want to do it based on the values inside of our store. So we need this index inside of this component, which I'm not even sure. We don't even necessarily have to do it inside this one. We could do it in the image itself. Actually, no, we will do it in here because we can. We're gonna have to pass all this information into the canvas as well, which will be a child component like this. So we need the index from this. We need the index right here from this for loop to this container from the Vuex store, or through the Vuex store. So I think what we'll do is state dot filters index. Oops, not a 9. So filters dot index dot index equals index, or it will be payload dot index and payload dot index. Okay, so what that should do is just give us that value inside of here. I mean, we could just hard code it, but that's no fun. So if we go over the contrast one, we adjust that, we go into the Vue store, and in Vuex, our filters, the second one, index of 1. Alright, cool. If I have this as just an empty string, will it convert it automatically? Let's see. I think so. Index. Alright, cool. So we're just gonna have that, and we can just generate the index like that. Cool. Alright, so the index, yeah, the index is in the computed property, but I can't access that computed property, or I can't access that outside of it to get the index to target the right name. So I need the right index, or the index outside of it, so I can loop through and build that code string right here with the filter name and the filter.current, and I need the index. I mean, I could do the same thing for this, I suppose, but I think if I just go off of could probably just do that in there, but I still need to externally declare which index to pick for both of them to get the proper information. So I guess I don't even really need the index inside of these current values. I just need it in this component, if that makes sense. So let's see, where is our store? So each one of our filters now, if we reload this and just scroll all the way through it, each of them should have been assigned an index. Once the event fires off, they get assigned an index automatically. Yeah, I think I will. That's a good point. I think I will probably just put these yeah, okay, so instead of doing that and all this stuff, all that crazy mappage, I'm just gonna return the filters. And because if I do that, I have all the properties that I need. The current and the index and the name all in one, and I can just sit there and say dot name like that. So getting way too complex for this, but that's okay because we have to work stuff out sometimes to figure out the best how to go about it, and we needed to go through that rigmarole to practice our map functions, higher order functions for one, and then also to realize that we don't need to do it that way. We can just pass in the index from where we're getting it from in the first place, which is the v4 loop. So rock on. Cool. All right, so what do we want to do? All right, so we could say filters. So when that changes, basically the only thing that will change on that is the index and the current. So that's okay. We can just watch the whole thing. So if we say how do we want to do this? Let's bring in that code snippet really quick so we can just look at it. Cut it out of here and bring it into this guy. Let's just say right here. I think that's all we need to do. We might be able to just pull that out like that. Filters. Still, I don't know if this watch property is going to be the right way to do it, actually, because I'm stuck. I can't. Let's see. So filters, function, old val, new value, but I need to pull that one out. How do I pull out the changed value from? Filter value dot filter L. Okay, so Josh has a suggestion in the chat that we use filter, and so let's just see what that does. So filter.value, we pass in the L in the index. Alright, so that should be, looks like he's got a different suggestion. Alright. Oh, I see. So value.filters. That value.filter. Alright, so value.filter, each element inside value, or each item. And we're getting the index. And there we go. Wait. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time with this. I'm confused. Oh, I see. Okay. There we go. I was missing a parentheses. Alright, so what I need to do actually on this now is fix this computed property, and I need to set up this watcher to set it as deep true. Okay, so cool. Thanks for the code snippet, Josh. I appreciate that. I'm kind of stumbling along right now, but that's okay. So let's go back up to this computed property really quick, and let's remap that. Okay, so dot map. Oh, not amp, map. And it's the filter, and I don't know if we'll necessarily even need the index, but let's just go for it for now, and we'll just say return an object, and that object is going to be okay. Yeah, cool. So let's return an object, and it'll say filter dot current. So current value name is filter dot name, current value filter dot current, and actually that might be all we need. I don't know if we even need the index inside of that for this. I don't know. We'll just see what happens. I'm not even sure. I'm not going to speculate anymore. But okay, so let's take a look at what this computed property evaluates to now. So go down here and wait a second. Refresh this, and let's go into our component, display container, and then filters. Let's see what it has. So we have the name and the current value. So does that adjust properly? Yeah. Cool. It's working still, so that's good. Now, what do we want to do? We can say so first of all, we need to go in here to this filters and set it up as an object, and we can move this function, this whole function inside of that. And in the filters, we're going to say set up a property called deep, and it's going to be set to a boolean of true. And then the next one is going to be the handler, and that's going to be what handles the function, or handlers. So that will be that, and let's see if that still runs properly. Console log. delete that console.log. Let's come in here. Okay, so and then we'll say, so we need to assign this to a variable. So if we say let active filter equals filter.value or value.filter, and if we say that, what does that give us? And then console.log active filter. Let's see what that gives us. An array. Empty array. Oh, and the filter will need to return that line. Oh, because it's inside of a. Can I take it out of that? Can I just return it implicitly? It's still pulling the whole thing. Let's refresh it and see. Return L, so each. You know what I could probably do is just nice, good call. Good call. Okay, so that makes sense. Sorry, I'm not the best at these harder functions myself yet, and this watch properties in Vue is super tricky. So basically, what do we got here going on? We have a watch property set up, right? So it's watching this computed property for changes, and when it senses it changes throughout the whole thing, that's why we have this deep true. So it searches not just the top level items, or it doesn't just watch the top level properties, it watches all, it's like all of the sub levels. So it deep searches it, deep watches. So we set that to true, and that'll watch everything on that property that we're watching. And then the handler, which basically is our function caller. And so inside of that, we have our first property, which is the value, the new value, and then our second argument, which is the old value. So the first new value, old value, I guess I could say new val, old val, just to be a little bit more. Just to be a little more explicit. So let current filter equals new val. So we have our new value. It's a whole object of this filters thing because it changes. And so we're filtering through it, and each element inside of that, instead of saying L, I think I'm going to say filter. Look at that. He's got a whole one line. I'll have to put it in here. So we can just right, so filter and then the index. So, and then the next thing we do is we're checking through and filtering through the new val array and checking the current value of each property in there and comparing it against the old value array current property for each iteration of it, each item. And if it's different, then we will return that object, which will give us the change. So cool, just like it is right there. And then we're just console logging active filter, and then so what we want to do after that, and then we can actually turn this into a one-liner by saying, let's see, just like that. We're removing, making it an implicit return, and that gives us the whole thing. Cool. Thank you so much for the help on that, Josh. I really appreciate it. And we got that going, and now we can actually pull this line in like that, and we could say active filter dot name. And oh, we need the suffix too. Can't forget that. Super important. Suffix. It's filter dot suffix. Cool. Okay. Oh, it's screaming at us because it's saying active filter is not defined. That's fine. So we're just gonna paste that in just like that. And it should be alright because we're gonna be saving this new stuff as CSS variables in our root node. So I don't even think we'll need to commit it to a data property. So let's just see if this works. Let's give it a refresh. And this line of code one more time basically targets the root node element, and then the style property on that. We have our CSS variables set on there, and we're targeting it with this string, ES6 string literal or literal template string literal template thing, and these ones down here. So it'll basically give us a string that looks like this right here. And with that, we should be able to see our changes. So let's pull this down a little bit, and let's pull up an image and see if it works. Okay, so let's see. And where is it? It is this one right here. We have our image in there. Cool. Let's see if this works. Moment of truth. Doesn't look like it. Document element style. Let's see. Let's pull up. Where is all the way down here? Okay, so giving us issues. Undefined, 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 undefined. Is document accessible from within a watch? I would assume so. That's a good question. I'm not sure. We could just write a function and just call that function inside the watch property if that's the case. But that could be the case that's going on. It might not have access to the document. Let's try just doing that really quick. Let's come up here and in our script tag, let's just write a... Actually, we can write it in our Vue instance, actually. So, watch methods, and let's just write a method and say set CSS or set filter variable, and we're gonna pass in the active filter. Cool. And then if we have, let's just take this whole line of code and paste it into that method. And now if we say this dot set filter variable, and we pass in the active filter, now it should work. I think. Maybe. Who knows? Yeah, totally. Okay, ooh, that's a good point. Let's see inside, we can, Josh is saying, we can check if we can log the document inside the watch property. So we can say console.log document and see what that gives us. And before we do that, let's comment this stuff out just so we can see what that gives us really quick, because I'm curious. Console, let's clear the console out, give everything a refresh and pull it out. So it looks like, yeah, weird. Document dot document element. Document dot document element. Dot style. Dot set property. Weird. I don't know why it's not liking that, but it seems to be working just fine inside of the console log. I don't know what that's gonna do, but we can just screw with it and see what happens. Undefined. Okay, well, whatever. Let's not worry about that because we'll just call it with a function. And uncomment this out, and let's delete that console.log, and with all of that active, we should have what we need to make it work. Alright, let's put this image in, and whoops. Let's see what that gives us. Nothing, it's still not changing it. Let's just see what happens if I go like this. Not like that. Console.log. Whoops. Console.log. Let's see. Undefined. Okay, so it's undefined. Let's figure out why that is. Where was you doing this assignment before? Inside right here. So let active filter. And then, so if I say console.log active filter, like that, it gives me an object. Oh, do I need to? It's an array of objects. So, okay, that makes sense. So, that's why it's coming up with undefined. So we need the first element inside the array. So if I were to say 0, index 0, index 0, what is that going to give us? Undefined percent. There we go. And look at that, we have it. Alright, cool. So, okay, so now that we know that, we can delete these console.logs, and we can just say active filter and then the first iteration, since there's only one, but we need to pass it in anyways, and that should give us what we need. So let's bring in our image, and now let's see, do we have anything working? Active filter 0. Let's just see. Console.log active filter. Let's see. Oops. So it's got it in there. 27. 38. Current value. There we go. I think that was what we were missing. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Refresh it and bring that image in one more time. It's not adjusting. What's going on? I can't seem to figure out why it's not applying the style properly. Let's see, let's look at the HTML and see what that's given us. It's adjusting it properly. It could be something else that's not lined up properly now at this point. So that's getting changed properly. That's not changing on our filters though. Okay, so let's go take a look at the image, display image, and what is all this stuff? Filters. Let's look at this actual object itself. Whoops. And we need to look at properties. No, not that. Styles. Where's the computed properties? Here we go. Filter. None. Oh. Oh. Maybe it's just the image, it's hard to tell. Oh, it looks like it's working. I don't know why that started to work all of a sudden, but weird. Alright, so looks like one of these tracks is detected copyright audio in my stream, so my stream may be temporarily blocked. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but yeah, so that's what inside of, hold on a second, let's just inside of here, inside of the where is it? If we look in our main CSS, so the root property, or this root node that we're element root or whatever that we're targeting and applying our initial CSS or writing our CSS variable rules in, that gets applied to the HTML tag, so like the root level, the root document node, which is the HTML tag. So that's just kind of by default. You can set these up inside of, like, if I were to just say, if I wanted to set these variables up to be specific to where is it? Display image. If I wanted them to set up these variables inside of this style area for the display image component, that would totally be an option as well. But it gets a little bit more finicky when trying to target them at that point, because it's a lot more tricky to target them, if at all possible. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure you can, but it's just always been a real big pain in the butt. The easiest way is to always just declare your CSS variables in the root node, because then you can have access to them as easily as possible with JavaScript. So anyways, cool. So I think anyways that's gonna do it for this evening. It took us quite a bit of struggling to get through it, but we got it working and everything is working properly. So I'll end this session, and next time we'll get to work on the canvas. So and just close this out and just take a look at all the coolness that we did. So grayscale stuff. So all right, cool. Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much to Joshua for hanging out all night and working us through the higher order functions and whatnot and all the suggestions. It's really awesome to have somebody in here chatting away. So thank you so much for your time, and then thank you to everybody else who tuned in to check out RabbitWerks JavaScript live coding. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Comment if you like. Comment and tell me how I'm doing. Let me know if you're learning anything, if there's anything that I could improve on, anything that you have suggestions for future projects. If you don't like anything or ways that I could improve, I would love to hear that too. So just feel free to give me a shout. Just if you're rude, I will just delete the comment and not read it and not energize it. So be nice, and that's all I ask. And I'm totally open to feedback. And so yeah, thanks for tuning in to RabbitWerks JavaScript Live Coding. Like, comment, subscribe. You can check out this Discord server to figure out and get on some free sticker packs, some free RabbitWerks DevSticker packs that I'm going to be giving out at 100 subscribers. So yeah, get on the Discord channel and be a part of that as well. And if you want to get involved with the Coding Garden community app that I've talked about a few times, you can check out the link that I'll have in the description for that, to all the resources for getting involved in that project as well. We could use all the help we can. Josh is actually a member of the core contributor team with myself as well. And so yeah, I hope to see you there. Hope to see you the next time. We're going to be doing on Thursday nights, approximately 8:30, give or take, provided the internet works. Music was brought to you by, again, Free Code Camp Radio, and thank you so much for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe again to enter into the sticker giveaway, all that good stuff. Join the Discord server, and we'll see you next week. Have a good night, everybody, and stay awesome.